Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixie Land. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the book of 2 Kings, and we are in chapter 17, and we are finding out what's going on with Hoshea, the last king of Israel. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, in Samaria, and he reigned 9 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, but not like the kings of Israel who preceded him. Shalmaneser, pretty sure I'm saying that right. Hold on. Shalmaneser, Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up to attack Hoshea, who had been Shalmaneser's vassal and had not paid him tribute, so he skimped on the bill. But the king of Assyria discovered that Hoshea was a traitor, for he had sent envoys to So, S-O, or S-A-I-S, to the So is probably an abbreviation for Oskoron, O-S-O-R-K-O-N, sons and I'm sorry, that's another line. Never mind on that one. So that's a person, but possibly an abbreviation for their name. So king of Egypt, and he no longer paid tribute to the king of Assyria as he had done year by year. Therefore, Shalmaneser seized him and put him in prison. The king of Assyria invaded the entire land. He marched against Samaria and laid siege to it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria captured Samaria and deported the Israelites to Assyria and settled them in Halah, H-A-L-A-A-H, in Gozan on the Harbor River and in the towns of Medes, M-E-D-E-S. So, now I want to be really clear about what we're talking about here. In this time frame, portions of Mesopotamia are part of Assyria, which means parts of Iraq are part of Assyria. Gozan is, if you were, I'm trying to give you a relative map. If you have the Euphrates River on one side, you got the Tigris on the other, and you've got Jewish settlements in these various sections. Way over, like you got Halal and you got Nivea, and then Media is over to one side near the Caspian Sea, if you were looking on a map. Gozan, on the other hand, on Harbor R, you have to follow up the Euphrates, and there's another offshoot of like a little river area, and that is Harbor, and then it goes up to Gozan. So it's just an offshoot of the Euphrates when you're looking at where this is. So it's pretty far, north of the Persian Gulf, and relatively far away from the area, right? Just from where they were. So they were taken from Jerusalem and moved very far away to these other areas where they don't know the land at all. Israel exiled because of sin. All this took place because the Israelites had sinned against the Lord their God, who had brought them up out of Egypt from under the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. They worshipped other gods and followed the practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before them, as well as the practices of the kings the kings of Israel had introduced. The Israelites secretly did things against the Lord their God that were not right. From watchtower to fortified city, they built themselves high places in all their towns. They set up sacred stones and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every spreading tree. At every place they burned incense, as the nations who the Lord had driven out before them had done. They did wicked things that provoked the Lord to anger. They worshipped idols, though the Lord had said, "You shall not do this." There, I got a footnote. Exodus 20, verse 4 and 5. The Lord warned Israel and Judah through all his prophets and seers, "Turn from your evil ways, observe my commands and decrees in accordance with the entire law that I commanded your fathers to obey, that I delivered to you through my servants the prophets." But they would not listen and were as stiff-necked as their fathers, who did not trust in the Lord their God. They rejected his decrees and the covenant he made with their fathers and the warnings he had given them. They followed worthless idols and themselves became worthless. They imitated the nations around them, although the Lord had ordered them, "Do not do as they do." And they did the things the Lord had forbidden them to do. They forsook all the commands of the Lord their God and made for themselves two idols cast in the shape of calves and an Asherah pole. They bowed down to all the starry host, and they worshipped Baal. They sacrificed their sons and daughters they made their sons and daughters pass through the fire, and practiced divination and sorcery, and sold themselves to do evil in the eyes of the Lord, provoking him to anger. So the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them from his presence. Only the tribe of Judah was left, and even Judah did not keep the commands of the Lord their God. They followed the practices of Israel, and Israel had introduced. Therefore the Lord rejected all the people of Israel. He afflicted them and gave them into the hands of plunderers until he thrust them from his presence. When he tore Israel away from the house of David, they made Jeroboam, son of Nebat, their king. Jeroboam enticed Israel away from following their Lord and caused them to commit a great sin. The Israelites persisted in all the sins of Jeroboam and did not turn away from them until the Lord removed them from his presence, as he has warned through all of his servants the prophets. So the people of Israel were taken from their homeland into exile in Assyria, and they are still there. Samaria resettled. The king of Assyria brought people from Babylon, Kutha, Kuthah, Ava, Avva, Hamath, Hamath, and Seravium. It's Sepharvaim, and settled them in the towns of Samaria in place of the Israelites. So this is pretty standard if you're going to be a conquering nation. Because again, they can't rebel if they don't know the landscape. They took over Samaria and lived in its towns. When they first lived there, they did not worship the Lord, so he sent lions among them, and they killed some of the people. It was reported to the king of Assyria, "The people you deported and resettled in the towns of Samaria do not know what the God of that country requires. He has sent lions among them, which are killing them off, because the people do not know what he requires." Then the king of Assyria gave this order: "Have one of the priests you took captive from Samaria go back to live there and teach the people what the God of the land requires. So one of the priests who had been exiled from Samaria came to live in Bethel and taught them how to worship the Lord. Nevertheless, each national group made its own god in the several towns where they settled, and set them up in the shrines the people of Samaria had made at the high places. The men of Babylon made Sukkoth, Succoth, Benoth, Bnoth. The men from Cutha, Cuthah, made Nergal, Nergal, and the men from Hamath made Ashima, Ashima. The Avites, Avvites, made Nibhaz, Nibhaz, and Tartak, Tartak, and the Sepharvites, Spharvites, burned their children in the fire as a sacrifice to Adaramelech, Adramelech, and Anamelech, Mmelech, the gods of Seraphim, Sepharvaim, they worshipped the Lord, but they also appointed all sorts of their own people to officiate for them as priests in the shrines at the high places. They worshipped the Lord, but they also served their own gods in accordance with the custom of the nations from which they had been brought. To this day, they persist in their former practices. They neither worship the Lord nor adhere to the decrees and ordinances, the laws and commands that the Lord gave the descendants of Jacob, whom he named Israel. When the Lord made a covenant with the Israelites, he commanded them, "Do not worship any other gods or bow down to them, serve them, or sacrifice to them. But the Lord who brought you up out of Egypt with mighty power and an outstretched arm is the one you must worship." It's really the only one. Is the one you must worship. To him you shall bow down, and to him offer sacrifices. You must always be careful to keep the decrees and ordinances, the laws and commands he wrote for you. Do not worship other gods. Do not forget the covenant I have made with you, and do not worship other gods. Rather, worship the Lord your God. It is he who will deliver you from the hand of all your enemies. They would not listen, however, but persisted in their former practices. Even while these people were worshiping the Lord, they were serving their idols. To this day, their children and grandchildren continue to do as their fathers did. Now, mind you, when this was written, as their fathers did, and still doing to this day stuff as well, to this day back in the BC era, but maybe not right to this day. Really kind of depends on the family, right? If you want to find out what's going on now next in the kingdom of Judah, because that it would be the only kingdom that is left since the Israelites were scattered and no longer a kingdom at this point in the history of the kingdoms. You're going to need to come back for the next video, friends.